Welcome to our channel. This is the very first video we've made, so yikes.
We don't know what we're doing, do we?
Not at all.
We're just going to try to have some fun. We're going to try to do more than just cooking, though cooking I think would be a main part of what we're doing.
Yes.
What are some of the things that we're going to try to do?
We're going to also, we love gardening, so we're going to cover gardening. We are on a little less than a 1 acre lot, suburban lot, so we can show how to garden. We get quite a bit of stuff off of our little bitty garden.
Absolutely. If your freezer gets filled up, we just bought another freezer. So if you do it right and plan, you can save stuff and then use it a lot later.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, the name of our channel, you want to talk about the name of our channel?
Well, you've seen the name of our channel and you probably think, well, that's really weird. What is that all about? Well, it was picked, you picked the name?
No, you did.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I take the blame for that. We wanted it more than just cooking and things like that. So turnip represents our garden, represents cooking, represents fresh food and things like that, because you love turnips, don't you?
I don't like turnips, actually.
We don't.
It's one of probably the very few vegetables I don't like.
That's right. So, but it was supposed to represent the garden and freshness and cooking and be memorable. The other part is, for those that don't know, I'm a 40-year television meteorologist, and so I'll try to sneak in when we can, when it's convenient, throw in some little nuggets, how the weather affects gardening. We're in zone 7. How the weather affects cooking and other little nuggets and things like that. So we want to make it where we're not just pinned down to just one thing, and so that's the weird name of the channel. Tell them, if they don't know, our background.
Well, we have been married for
44 years. Thank you for remembering.
I think that's right. I believe that is
It
right.
is.
Okay, good.
Trust me.
We were high school sweethearts, and so we've known each other forever.
We have. We really have. And so we grew up in the same small town in eastern Oklahoma, and we love being together. We really do. It's kind of strange, but we like doing stuff. Probably helps that I'm gone a lot because I work a tremendous amount of hours. But I think people want to know a little bit about this channel and the diet and the things that we're going to be making. I don't want people to be misconceived as to what this is. This is not going to be all plant-based all the time.
It will not be. We primarily do a plant-based diet, but we will cover other things, and a lot of the ones that we do cover that are plant-based are very easy to use a meat instead.
Yeah, so we'll try to flag you and let you know, hey, this is completely plant-based. And for those that don't know, plant-based and vegan are the same. I think plant-based is the more modern, cleaned-up version of the word vegan. Whatever you want to call it, eat what you want to. You know, life is short. Have a good time. We tend to choose this, but we don't shove our stuff down people's throats, and just relax, enjoy life. It happens so fast. Let's talk about cooking today. Let's get going. You ready?
Okay, today it is going to be plant-based today, but this is for people who love pulled pork. This is a way to do it resembles very much pulled pork. We have fed many carnivores this menu, and they have loved it so far.
So again, if you've got somebody that all they're going to eat is meat, you can make this and see if they like it. I'll bet they will, because it's got the consistency, the texture, the look, the smell. And so anyway, try this out. We're going to put the full menu, in the descriptions down below as soon as we learn how to do that.
Yes.
We're going to do that.
There's so much to learn.
Absolutely. So we'll put the full menu down there as well. But in the meantime, let's get started.
Yeah.
What is the meat that we're going to be using?
The meat, it's a little weird. It's a jackfruit. We buy canned. You can buy a fresh jackfruit. They usually range between 20-25 pounds for one of them.
And they're massive.
They're massive, and my understanding is that they are super, super sticky, that it just makes a mess. So I've never heard anyone say they bought a fresh one and they would ever do it again. Everyone I've heard that did that said, never again, I will buy the can. And it's a certain kind. This is young green jackfruit in brine.
And that's important, right? Because you get the wrong kind.
It's super important. The other kind is a ripe jackfruit in syrup. That's made to make something sweet, which I've never even used. And I will say on our dishes, I don't think anything hardly that people say it tastes just like whatever. It's usually not exactly like it, but some of the stuff that we eat plant-based I actually like better.
And these are delicious, aren't they?
Not by themselves, no.
Okay.
No.
All right, so this is what it looks like. You had to rinse this quite a bit.
You have to rinse it really well because it's in a brine solution, and so you want to get most of that salt
And
off
brine
of it.
is water and
salt.
Okay, so to get that off of it, rinse it super well. You got your colander here.
Yeah.
And so now what?
Let me get started.
You cut this up or did it come like that?
It comes in the can. This is what it looks like in the can. Looks very weird. The first time I cut it, the first time I used it, I felt this core area felt very firm to me, and I cut all those off. Well, that didn't leave very much left. Actually, that core part, since we cook it in a pan first, it gets softer and it's just fine. I also used to pick out all the seeds. You'll occasionally see a seed will come upon one. It can go into, it all goes. You kind of start at the core and just cut it up. And it doesn't have to be exact at all. This is just to help it to get softer in the skillet.
So those slices are what, about 1/8 of an inch thick or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a weird looking little fruit.
It really is. And again, if you're looking for it, you might be able to find it. If you can't, you might order it online. I think it used to be much more uncommon. You said you're seeing it now in the other grocery stores.
Yes, I don't see it in every grocery store, but like Trader Joe's has it. They have a good brand. This we bought actually in Austin when we were visiting family. And if you go to any Asian stores, you'll probably be able to find it.
We ready to talk about the barbecue sauce as
Yeah.
well? Okay, so use your favorite barbecue sauce. Everybody's got that brand that they love and things like that. This is a brand that's available that we like and we've used for years. But you actually buy this kind of in bulk or when it's on sale.
Usually on sale.
Yeah, we may do an episode on our little pantry that but she puts stuff away, buy stuff in bulk, and so we'll kind of hit that as well. So you're going to need some good sauce, and that will help as well.
I sent you to the grocery store one time to pick up barbecue sauce, and you brought this home, and I said, oh, Head Country, that sounds terrible, and it's our favorite, and it's made in Oklahoma.
Made in Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma. My stepdad's grandmother, when I was little bitty, made Head cheese.
Ugh.
So is that going to be a reference to we're not making Head cheese?
No,
Okay.
No,
all right.
not doing that today or any day.
No Clabber milk, no Head cheese,
No.
none of the stuff, chitlins, none of the stuff that we used to have back in the day. So we're not going to do that. So we slice this up, and then what happens next?
And next we're going to take it over to a skillet. That will be our next part.
Sounds good.
Okay, we've got our pan heating up. We are going to go ahead and saute some onions for this recipe. I'm going to use a little bit of vegetable broth, actually quite a bit. I tend to use that more so. You could certainly use oils, but the vegetable broth, that just cuts out some of the calories from it. So I'm going to put the onions in. Now I would normally use more onions than this. It's totally up to your preference. This is actually the only onion I had in the house, and I don't tend to run to the grocery store very often. So we're going to do it with a little bit less onions this time. I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the onions, but I'm not going to salt very heavily because the jackfruit was in brine. Even though I rinsed it, there's probably still some salt in them, and then the broth also has salt in it. So I'm going to go pretty light on the salt. Turn this up a little. We're going to cook these onions for probably about 5 minutes. Dan, what do you know about jackfruit?
Well, I looked it up, and it was on the internet, so I know it has to be true because nothing is false on the internet. It turns out jackfruit is also called jack tree. It's a species of the fig, mulberry, and something called the breadfruit family. It's found in southern India, all of Bangladesh, and the rainforest of the Philippines and Malaysia. They say it's loaded down with vitamin C, B vitamins, potassium, and also supposedly it can help you manage weight, blood sugar, and heart healthiness. Now, something you didn't know, Joanne, that I didn't tell you, is they say if you eat enough of jackfruit, you will start to look like Hugh Jackman from
No, no goodness.
Wolverine. So
I don't think I want to look like Hugh Jackman.
you wouldn't mind if I looked like Hugh Jackman.
Well, that would be okay.
There you go. So a little added benefit. So you're sauteing the onions. You put the garlic in. Now you put the garlic in the middle or something.
I do.
What is that all about?
Yeah, the garlic can burn really quickly. So usually I put the garlic in about the last minute of cooking the onions. And I do put it in the middle to just make sure they do get some heat. And I make sure there's some moisture there where they are, because that could make them burn also. And a burned garlic does not taste good at all. It gets very bitter very quickly. So you have to watch that. And since I'm doing it with broth instead of oil, I have to watch the pan very closely because it evaporates. Oil doesn't really evaporate, but this does. It's sort of like what you can see here on the edge. I'm already getting brown. And actually that makes some really good flavor, but you do have to watch it and kind of add a little bit more. You can even listen to the sound of it and know when it's time to add some more liquid. It's a little bit different than using oil, but makes it, and it also adds flavor. Oil does too, but I think the broth adds more flavor. Okay, so it hasn't been quite 5 minutes, but I'm going to move ahead and go ahead and put the garlic in, because this is going to cook for a while, so those onions will get cooked through.
How much garlic do you have in there?
This was, you need 2 regular size cloves of garlic. This was the most huge clove of garlic I've ever seen, so I ended up just using 1. But again, that's to personal preference also. If you like a lot of onions and a lot of garlic, you can use as much as you want.
These are not our garlic, are they?
They are not. We've already used up all of our garlic, yeah. And we've already used up all our onions also. So these are store-bought, unfortunately.
So your jackfruit, you've got it cut up and sliced up.
Yeah, sliced it up already, and we're going to throw that in, and then we're going to throw in about 1/4 or more of the broth, and that's going to soften it up. We're going to put a lid on it. The lid is very important, so we can, and I'm going to go ahead and do that now that garlic's been in there long enough. I'm going to get it in there.
What's that plastic sheet that you have there?
This is just a plastic cutting board instead of a, I have big heavy boards that, man, these sure are easy to clean up, so I've kind of switched to those. Sometimes I need my big cutting boards, but not all the time. So I'm going to add my broth now. And we are going to cover that with a lid, and we're going to let it go about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 10 minutes. I'm not good at guessing time. And I'm going to tell you, this, I used to make pulled pork using pork shoulder, what they call pork butt. This is so much easier, because it would have to cook for hours and hours, and then you'd have to pull it all apart. This is so much easier.
Did you say butt?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I don't know why they call pork shoulder pork butt, but they do. Because it has nothing.
Because pork butt's not from the butt, is it?
It's not from the butt, it's from the shoulder. So whoever came up with that, I think that was a bad move.
It's a butcher that really just wanted to have some fun.
Maybe. Okay, we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to let this go for about 10 minutes. Still doesn't look like.
So the more you mash, the smaller the pieces are.
Yeah, well, and the more it looks like, because it just kind of, it separates it much like pulled pork would be. It shreds it. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another good way to do this, I never thought about this till now, is to put it into a mixer.
Ah.
That would actually work too. We won't do that today, but this definitely works. This gets in a little arm exercise.
So far, it's not been in the oven yet, right? We just put it in here. That's the next step after you cook this a little more?
That's right. It's almost ready to go in the oven. If we went straight to the oven, I don't think it would get as tender as it does putting it in the pan and sauteing it for a while. And I know our onions and our garlic are in here. They're getting kind of mashed up too, but that's okay. That doesn't hurt a thing.
So,
Is it starting to look like
it is.
meat? Still not quite there, but it's close.
Tell
Tell about the sil pad.
Okay, this is sil pat. It's a piece of silicone, and basically it keeps you from
It cuts down on the amount of stickage. So cleanup, I tend to do the cleanup around here. It's the only thing I'm qualified for. But these little guys, that and you just lay that in the bottom of your
Very
pan.
helpful. And there's no need for oil if you use a silk hat. It keeps it from sticking without oil, which is kind of amazing.
Well, that's good. That's looking really
Yeah, now it's starting to look like meat.
neat-ish.
It is. It is. Okay, almost there.
So we'll go in the oven after this.
Yes, it's going to go in the oven at 400 for about 15 minutes. And I'm going to switch my oven to convection. That really helps a lot, but I've lived in a house for 2 years without convection oven, and it did just fine without the convection. The convection oven is sort of like a giant air fryer.
Yeah. We use convection in meteorology to talk about air circulating around, and so it's that warm air that circulates around. A regular oven, you obviously have the heat coming in, but we are looking for convection if we're looking for thunderstorms, for that movement of the air that we have, those convective type storms. So, all right, we've got it in there.
Okay, we're going to go ahead. This is an extremely heavy pan. I'm going to try not to dump it.
If you had a helpful husband here helping you. You like heavy pans for some reason.
It controls that heat so much better than a thin pan. A thin pan is when you might end up with burned things and all that. It's much better to have
So
heavy
you'd rather
pans.
have a few very good pans
Yes.
than a whole pantry full of
True.
these.
I probably have a lot less pans than a lot of people do, but I tend to mostly have very good pans. This pan I've probably used for close to 20 years, and
And you paid a lot of money for it.
it was
But
expensive.
if it lasts 20 years,
Yeah, the usage actually comes out to a good price once you use it for so long. So.
and you're not one on gadgets too. I see stuff
No.
on the late night channels and you go, yeah, but that doesn't interest you.
Not much, and especially small appliances. I don't like a lot of small appliances that do one job or two jobs. I'd rather use something that can be have some multi-uses.
And some of that probably starts maybe from those houses that we used to live in. You know, our first house was like 800 square feet, and it didn't have a lot
room
of
for that stuff.
We couldn't afford it.
Absolutely. And actually, we downsized a few years ago. I used to have a kitchen that was about 3 times this size, and we've done just fine with this kitchen. It's worked out just fine. So, okay, I'm gonna slip it in the oven.
What was the temperature?
400, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to convection bake, and we'll come back in about 15 minutes, I believe it is, and check it out. It's been 15 minutes. Jackfruit should be ready to take out of the oven. Oh yeah. See how it gets little crispy bits like a pork would? And now we're going to put the barbecue sauce on it. This is going to be the first application of barbecue sauce. And you can put as much as you want. You don't want to get it super wet like the last application. You just want some in it so it can kind of cook into it.
And you're measuring that out exactly.
Exactly. And then we're just going to stir it around to get some of that barbecue on everything. See how it doesn't even stick to the seal pat? The first time I made this, I knew it was going to be a mess, so I just foil lined a cookie sheet, and that didn't turn out well at all. It stuck so bad it tore the foil up. So that could be done, or just go ahead and spray a sheet really well with oil, but the seal pat definitely works really, really well.
So the first time, how many minutes was in the oven, and the second time?
15, and now we're going to do it about 10 more minutes. And then we have one final little time. Okay. Back in you go. 10 minutes. Now set the timer.
And you can make this without convection. Would you have to cook it longer, maybe?
No, possibly, but not necessarily. Not necessarily. And I've done it without the convection. It does fine. This is just makes it easier.
Tell me about your pot holders that you have there.
Our sweet neighbor, her grandmother made these, and she gave them to us. They're
Love that.
excellent. They're either crocheted or knitted. I'm not sure the difference, but they're
And
fantastic.
you always reminded me about wet pot holders.
Yes. Have you ever gone to get something, a hot pan, and it just immediately burned your hand, and it took me a little while to figure out it was because the pot holder was wet or damp. And our son, he used to cook as a career for several years, and he was the one that confirmed, yes, it is you never use a wet pot holder. It makes the heat conduct. What would be the word for that?
Well, it transfers the heat much more efficiently through the pot holder into your hand.
Yes. So always a dry one, or you might get burned.
Okay. I can't wait. So our next step basically should be to prepare the meal.
Yep.
And there's rumors your husband is very hungry.
We'll take care of that. See you in 10 minutes.
All right, so we've got the jackfruit pulled pork out of the oven. It looks actually pretty good.
Yeah, it gets the little crispy bits just like pulled pork would.
It does.
And now I'm going to add the final application of the barbecue sauce. This is as much or little as you want.
Delicately measured to the exact milliliter. Yeah. You kind of squirt it on.
Yeah. Just,
makes it look comfortable.
You know, whatever your preference is of how much you want.
So while all this was going on behind the scenes, she went ahead and made some coleslaw. That's perfect.
With this recipe, I like a very basic coleslaw. I have other coleslaw recipes that are more interesting, but I like a very basic one for this one because we're going to actually put it on the sandwich.
Okay, and that might be something we might want to do in a future episode, though most people understand coleslaw.
Absolutely.
I don't, but most people do.
Okay. I'm going to put that on, and I would say you go ahead and put some more.
Come on now.
You go ahead and put some more barbecue on yours. Let's give you a little more stuff. You go ahead and barbecue.
So we had a phone call. We took that. Turns out we don't want an extended warranty on our car. So anyway, so we have that. Got the coleslaw. What's next,
Yeah, go
Ross?
ahead and add some barbecue to yours because you like a little bit more than I do, however much you like.
Okay. That sounds good.
And then we're just going to pile the coleslaw. You can certainly serve this coleslaw on the side. I like it right on the meat because it's two different textures, two different temperatures. I love that with food to kind of shake it up a little.
Shake it up. There we
And I
go.
think that the okra's about done. If you want to hold on.
All right, we're gonna have okra. I like iced tea with some little stevia in it. And so
Okra is done.
okra's ready. Oh yeah, that looks good. Not fried okra, but it's healthier, and you can do this with a lot of different
It's
vegetables.
still quite
right?
delicious.
Still
Yes,
pretty good.
yes,
If you put them both side by side, you'd say the fried okra's better because
Yeah,
it's fried
absolutely.
okra, but it's still pretty good. So we're gonna have that on there. Bam, bam, boom. Little okra. Hey, we'd love to have your comments. We are learning this. If you have recipes you want us to try, if you have suggestions, you have comments, if you'd like to subscribe, it helps the channel grow and lets us know that you're out there. So, only thing really left is to taste it.
My favorite part.
That's right. All right, so let's give this a shot.
This is going to be big and messy.
Yeah, pulled pork type sandwich made with jackfruit. You saw us make it. And then we put a little coleslaw on top. We got some roasted okra.
Shall we try?
Oh Lord, that's good.
I like it.
That's very, very good. Hey, thanks for watching Turnips and Tornadoes. I'm Dan. She's Joanne. We appreciate you watching. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.
What do you think?
That's good. That's really, really good.